So let's talk about sleep. I had poor sleep quality because I had too much stress and cortisol reaction. I know that already. Yes, I did eat all the right foods though. So you guys start talking about what the right foods are or the right supplements are.
Oh my
Well, I think
God, how many hours do we have? Well, I'll let David go ahead
I mean,
first.
well, first, I think we need to talk about a couple things. Let's lay the background first. I mean, sleep is important. There are very few people that are true short sleepers genetically. They would have something called the short sleep gene. Somehow they clear brain waste better. That seems to be the defining characteristic. They clear brain waste. Lymphatic system clearance is better. The rest of us need 6 to 8 hours a night, and there are a number of factors that affect sleep. So let's define some of the terms. Circadian is the light and dark cycles. This is the interplay between cortisol and melatonin. And then you have REM, quality sleep. There's different phases of sleep. So some of those phases of sleep, then we need to talk about whether or not you're breathing properly when you sleep, right? Sleep apnea outside of any other thing is a major, major health concern for people. I just had one of my customers who I suspected he had sleep apnea. So I said, you know what? You just need to go in and get a sleep study. Don't even buy anything. Don't get anything. Don't get anything. Go get a sleep study done. So we went and got a sleep study done, 100% sleep apnea, lost 20 pounds just by going on CPAP machine. Okay. So sometimes that's a great solution, right? That's where modern medicine shines. That's a good appliance to use.
hormones,
Then, pardon me,
hormones.
hormone regulation, of course, especially in post, and or peri, and postmenopausal women. Men experience this too. It looks different during andropause. And so their things are nighttime nocturia, so they have to go to the bathroom during the night. It's prostate issues. So you're right. It's all hormonally influenced, just presents differently in men. And then the microbiome and gut issues with having the relationship at least between IBS and poor sleep. Right. So there is a real big relationship between all mental health conditions, gut health, and then sleep seems to be something. So you look at it, chronic fatigue, myalgic myelitis, any of those things, even sensory overload, sensory integration disorder, any of those things which keep the brain online. Let's talk about that's what's happening. And the default mode network and some of those things are still spinning while you're trying to close the eyes and stop the rodent on the wheel. Right. So how do you
Yeah.
stop the rodent on the wheel? That's what we're trying to talk about.
Well, and the thing is, as a chemist, I always think about the circadian rhythm in terms of the concentrations of serotonin and melatonin throughout the day. And if we think about, well, what is insomnia? What are sleep problems? What is fatigue and all those things? Must be the president calling. Now, if you think about all these things, that to me, it essentially boils down to, is your serotonin under control? And then if so, your melatonin should be under control as well. And so, we often forget about, the brain being a tightly controlled complex to make sure we are recovering at night. And we're not awake in the middle of the night because sleep is so important. It
Hmm.
really comes back to your neurochemistry, as per a chemist, right?
But it is affected by the gut microbiome, which is also it's changed, shall we say, your predominant order in the diversity in your gut changes based on even light signals and different types of noise.
Yeah, there's more serotonin receptors in our gut than there are in our brain, and as far as density. And so, yeah, and then you get into the hunger hormones that's interlocked with all of that. It's amazing just what we've learned.
And trigger reactivity and the cortisol rise, that's all
Hmm.
connected. You're also looking at the actual vagus nerve receptors that are in the transverse colon when you're talking about the gut chemistry and serotonin and how that affects your neural network and
Hmm.
bidirectional relationship, actually, such as meditation being able to help suppress all physical issues, starting with the neural pathway they believe now going down the vagus channels and actually affecting the gut microbiome. So, and we also know that exercise and having different changes of pace and adaptability on a physical level, better oxygen intake, better VO2 max also allows the body to get into a better restful state at night.
Hmm.
The
A large portion of North Americans are chronically sleep deprived due to either circumstance, low-grade inflammation, low-grade immune activation, maybe a couple of those things. I mean, if listeners want to grade their sleep, they can utilize the Pittsburgh Sleep Quality Index. So they could just look that up really quickly online. It's called the PSQI. And that's one of the standard things they use. It just turns out, how refreshed are you after you sleep? Like, how competent are you as a sleeper? And I think one of the things that adults need is sleep training now. I know it sounds crazy. We do sleep training for kids. We need sleep training for adults. I work the floor of my store because I own a health food store every Saturday. Always, every single time I work, somebody's got some sleep issues. And those sleep issues now range from kids that are 2, 3, 5 years old who really shouldn't be having the volume of sleep issues that they're having, all the way up to 65-year-old retirees with nothing on their mind. They just can't sleep, right? So there's this big spectrum. And I think that we have sleep, to me, is one of the true canaries in the coal mine. Because if you're not sleeping, you will not live as long and you will have more comorbidities later on in life. It's a big canary in the coal mine. And I think it's one of the very complex behaviors that has a profound impact on your quality of life.
Well, and it's amazing. Now we actually have the science that proves all this stuff, whereas before it was just kind of, grandma's advice type of stuff. Well, yeah, you got to eat healthy and, get a
I want to meet that grandma, because I'm going to tell you something. Back then, she had great advice about vegetables and fiber and polyphenols and sleep. That's my grandma. I want that.
Outside in the sun.
Right.
Remember that
Right?
one?
Absolutely.
Staying outside in the sun, staying outside in nature.
That grandma definitely lived to be 100. I'm telling you.
Well, they had some bad habits back then too.
Sure,
and
they
so
did.
I
Of
guess
course,
there was some offset there, but for sure, the benefit of exercise and all these things. And it's funny how closely it all ties in with inflammation. And so this chronic inflammation factor, everything is so connected. And you see that now in the past 20 years, you have studies showing, if you push on one, then the other goes up or down, like it's, but yeah, it's there's so many factors to it that you can't just be, having a silver bullet approach.
No, definitely not. And when it comes to foods, having diversity in your diet helps the microbiome have that adjustment factor, even if rhythm is off, which unfortunately with jobs today, most jobs really don't allow you to have that time. Or the fact that many people have to travel so much, not realizing how much disruption happens to their microbiome.
This is, exactly. So, I mean, there's two things that set the circadian clock that we know of that are big hammers in setting the circadian clock: light and food. Those are the two. And so, doing a jet lag recovery protocol for people.
That's why we have to wear our sunglasses sometimes. You got to protect against those
That's
bright
right.
lights, right?
Next time, I promise, I'll have a big tray of sunglasses, all different colors.
You do jet lag recovery, and one of the strategies is actually to do time restricted eating and do the time restricted eating to when you would normally eat in that time zone. Have breakfast then, lunch then. Don't eat if you're hungry, skip it, do a little bit of fasting, and then the next morning you'll get a good reset on your circadian cycle. A little harder going in one direction than the other, going back and going forward a little harder. But if you do it with food and light, you can get really good results.
And
exercise too.
I would agree, 100%, definitely.
Heart rate pacing, which you can do it with breath work. Let's face it, you can do heart rate pacing with breath work, but I would actually run according to a running schedule that I had just prior to eating anytime I changed time zones. Otherwise, I was absolutely useless. I think I couldn't think nothing. Like you were going to